Hey guys, Chicago injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here. No microphone today, so I hope it's not too loud, and I hope you can hear me okay. In today's video, we're going to talk about, is it time to compromise in my personal injury case? Okay, so I want to tell you about a conversation I had with a client. This is a gentleman who was referred to me by a lady who I represented a number of years ago. He hadn't heard from her in a long time. Referred me this gentleman. He was involved in a car accident, and it was pretty good impact. Really solid dude, good job, responsible guy, and he's a guy who is in the trades, so he works with his body. So when you got a back injury or something like that, it is a big deal, or it certainly can be a big deal. So when he called me, he had been to the doctor, he went to the hospital, got checked out, and then basically I told him what I tell everybody when I sign up a case. I'm like, look, the name of the game here is you want to make as clean a medical record as possible, because at the beginning of a case, you don't know if your back or neck injury is a permanent, serious injury or whether it's a temporary one, right? But there's no injury or illness that benefits from a delay in diagnosis and a delay of treatment. In other words, it's always better to know sooner rather than later what's causing you the pain and to start fixing it. Because the sooner you start to fix it, the faster you get better, which is better for you and better for your life. In my opinion, you should always make decisions like that. You should never make a treatment decision based on what's good for your case or what will increase the value of your case. Because you might have many opportunities to sue somebody in your life, but you only get one body. So always make decisions based on what's best for your body and your health and you and your life, okay? So anyway, time went by. He, treated with his doctors that he knew that he wanted to go to. And eventually, about, 8 months later, the doctor's office, or he called us and told us, like, I'm done treating. Can we try to wrap the case up? So we ordered all of the medical records like we do, did a nice summary, did a detailed demand letter, and sent it to the insurance company, went back and forth. Now, it wasn't the best insurance company in the world, and it certainly wasn't the worst one either. But, their offer wasn't very good. And I was able to get them, to double what their offer was. So their initial offer, I got them to double it. Was it going to make my client rich? Was it going to make me rich? No. And I called the client up because it wasn't, it's not a tremendous amount of money. Turns out at the beginning of a case, I don't know if you're headed for neck or back surgery or shoulder surgery or knee surgery, and neither do you. The hope is that you get better, but by making a clean medical record, you make your case stronger and you're putting yourself on the road to recovery faster, which is better for you, and it doesn't hurt your case. It can only make your case better and more credible. So I called him up, and this guy makes a pretty good living. So when I called him up, I figured he was gonna give me a hard time. So I'm like, I better dig in and really, I took notes when I talked to the insurance adjuster, and I went through our summary and reread the records and all that. And look, really what it came down to is he had half a dozen or 8 visits to the doctor in total. He had an MRI that showed a little bit of positive findings that could have just been there, which is what we call pre-existing, or it could have been caused in the crash. But the most important thing is that the guy told me, he's like, yeah, it definitely was painful early on. It's been a year since the accident. I haven't been back to see a doctor in a long time. I'm doing fine. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't wrap it up. Well, my point is, this guy compromised and was reasonable, even though the number wasn't a tremendous number. It was, a smaller number, one of the smallest cases in my office. I think we're settling it in the ballpark of around $10,000. But then you factor in, he didn't really get any treatment. He visited the doctor a few times, got an MRI, and just would check in with the doctor every month or two, or every several weeks. Never went for physical therapy, and hasn't been to see a doctor in 6 months, and is doing fine now. So how much money is a case like that ultimately, how much money is a jury going to award you? So even though liability was strong, medical was not, the medical was no great shakes. It didn't really show a serious, permanent, painful injury, and that's what we need to show a judge and jury to get a bigger verdict. And if you don't have that, it's not going to scare the insurance company. If the insurance company isn't afraid of what might happen at trial, they're not going to make you a big offer pre-suit. So in this case, it was a happy ending. I was able to settle the guy's case in less than a year from the date that he got hurt, and just a few months after he was done treating, less than 6 months after he was done treating. So, I consider it a win. The client was happy and the client was reasonable. But I can tell you, I have had situations in the past where, a client has an extremely challenging case, and I tell them that up front. I'm like, look, it's a really rough one. I'll take it for you. I'll see what I can do. And, even if their medical care is there's not much to it, and they make a full recovery, they have an expectation in their head that it should be a $100,000 case when it's not even a $10,000 case. So my point of today's video is, one of the things an attorney can do for you is tell you what cases go for, and once all the data is in, they can tell you, is an offer in the ballpark, is it not in the ballpark? There are cases that we settle where I tell the client up front, I'm like, I don't promise anything, but I think I could probably get you more if we filed a lawsuit, but the client just doesn't want to do it. They've made a complete recovery, and they just don't want to wait a year or two or more in court before the case is over, and they just want to close the book on it and go on with their life. On the other hand, I do have clients who, they want $1 million for a very minor, low-end temporary injury with no permanence. And with those folks, I got to tell them, it might be time to compromise. So don't just assume that your case isn't worth anything. It's probably a good idea to talk to a lawyer if you or a loved one's been hurt. And of course, I always offer a free consultation. You can get a free consultation, no obligation, 100% free, and I answer all of your questions. You can call me anytime, day or night, 500-4500. That's 312-500-4500. Happy to hear from you and see if I can help you. If you're not ready to talk to a lawyer, I've got the Case Cash Calculator. It's my settlement calculator. It's, again, it's on my website. I'll leave the link in the description. You go there, cut and paste the URL into your web browser, and you go, it takes you 15 seconds or less to do it, and it gives you an idea of what your case might be worth. 100% free. Check it out. There's other great information I'll leave links to in the description. And, I appreciate you guys watching, and I appreciate being able, being in a position to help educate people so they know how these cases work and what to expect and what not to expect. So I appreciate your viewership. If you like the channel, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And if you would not mind giving me a 5-star review on Google, it would really help me. It'd be a nice way to say thank you for the information I provide for injured people. There'll be a link in the description. You cut and paste it in your browser. You click 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit. Take you all of 5 seconds, but it would mean the world to me. So if you're willing to do that, I'd appreciate it. Other than that, thank you for watching. Have a great day and take care.